What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, we're going to look at the MLB players most likely to be traded after the lockout. So that's what I'm going to do in today's video. But quickly, before I get into this video, if you want great baseball content throughout the rest of this lockout and the offseason, make sure you subscribe to this channel, turn notifications, and leave a like, because this is the place to be for great baseball content throughout the offseason. So let's go ahead and get into the 10 players most likely to be traded after the lockout. First, let's go ahead and start with Luis Castillo of the Cincinnati Reds. And Luis Castillo is definitely one of the better players that could end up being traded. Castillo is 29 years old and plays for a rebuilding Cincinnati Reds team. In 2021, he posted an 8-16 record with a 3.98 ERA in 33 games started, 187 innings, 192 strikeouts, and a 1.36 whip. Had a very good season for the Cincinnati Reds, especially in the second half, which is where he really turned it on. And for Castillo, he has a ton of value. On baseball trade value, has a 68.3 trade value, 68.3 million worth of trade value there, so he has an insane amount of trade value. Potential suitors for Luis Castillo could be the Rangers. The Rangers could use quite a bit of starting pitching. They invested a lot into their offense this offseason so far before the lockout, so they could use some starting pitching. They signed guys like Marcus Semien and Corey Seager, but didn't really invest too much in the starting pitching besides Sonny Gray, which was an okay move. But they could really use a top-end starter, and Luis Castillo would be that. The Los Angeles Angels could, of course, use starting pitching. That's the main reason as to why they haven't been to the playoffs with Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout. The Mets are another team. I don't really perceive the Mets as much of a favorite to get Luis Castillo because he would be probably their number 3, number 4 option there. But the Mets could be a potential suitor. The Yankees, of course, is a potential suitor as well. And yeah, the Yankees could be a potential suitor as well to bring him in to be their number 2. Next up is Sonny Gray of the Cincinnati Reds, another Cincinnati Reds starter here. And for Sonny Gray is a guy that is 32 years old, was first round pick out of Vanderbilt by the Oakland Athletics back in 2011. And in 2021, he posted a 7-9 record with a 4.19 ERA in 26 games started, 135 innings pitched, 155 strikeouts, and 1.22 whip. He's been very reliable in his career, posting a 3.61 career ERA. And the worst season he really had was in the Bronx in New York. He had a really bad year there, but still, Sonny Gray, man, this is a guy still at 32 years old that really hasn't shown many signs of slowing down. He's been pretty good. On baseball trade values, has a $28.3 million trade value. And some potential suitors for Sonny Gray are the Rangers, once again, same kind of concept. Angels, the Mets could be more of a suitor for him. Obviously, Gray has more of a contract than Luis Castillo does. The Twins are another team that could possibly be in the Sonny Gray sweepstakes. They definitely don't really have a good starter at all right now, especially considering that Dylan Bundy right now is their number 1 starter. And the Giants are another team that could look to somebody like Sonny Gray, and they could look to somebody like Luis Castillo as well. So, next up on this list is Josh Bell of the Washington Nationals, a guy that doesn't have a lot of trade value on baseball trade values, literally having no value at all. But Josh Bell's a guy that had a pretty solid 2021 season for the pretty terrible Washington Nationals. And some part of that does come to the value of a first base position because it's not too high, honestly. He's 29 years old, and in 2021 he posted 27 home runs, 88 RBIs, a 261 batting average, 347 on base percentage, 476 slugging, and an 823 OPS. A really solid year from Josh Bell, a guy that had a down 2020 but really improved in 2021 and had a very good season, enough to probably get him out of Washington, which is, a good thing for any player right now. Next up is, and some potential suitors actually for him are the Padres, Brewers, Red Sox, and Yankees. The Red Sox could use a first baseman. Of course, they could use a first baseman, especially if they don't go out to get a bigger name like Freddie Freeman or Matt Olson. Those are the bigger names of the first baseman market, but if they want to go a little low, but still going to get some productivity, Josh Bell's that guy. The Brewers could also, of course, use a power bat like him. They've got Rowdy Tellez there right now, but still Josh Bell would be a good fit. For the Yankees, a switch hitter that would come in, a left-handed bat kind of at first base sometimes, and that would be pretty good. The Padres could as well use a first baseman. Next up is Matt Olson of the Oakland Athletics. Matt Olson is another guy. Pretty really good year, but another guy that, is not going to have as much value just due to how it's just not too much valuable to have a great first baseman. And in 2021, he posted 39 home runs, 111 RBIs, a 271 batting average, a 371 on base percentage, a 540 slugging, and a 911 OPS. He posted a really good 2021. It's just, like I said, the first baseman, it's not going to change your team if you have a great first baseman, really. You don't have to be great on defense there, but of course, Matt Olson is a very great player. For Olson on baseball trade values right now, he has quite a bit of value, which of course he's going to, putting up those kind of statistics, a $45 million trade value. And so the potential suitors for him are the Padres, Brewers, Red Sox, Yankees. We've kind of already talked about those four teams. The Braves could be in on somebody like a Matt Olson if they don't sign back Freddie Freeman, which obviously I hope they do. But if they don't, the Braves are a potential suitor. And they have plenty of prospects that they could give to the Oakland Athletics, being Christian Pache, Drew Waters, that they're not really using. And the Marlins are another team with a very good farm system that could look to really pull the trigger on a Matt Olson trade. Next up is Craig Kimbrell of the Chicago White Sox. Kimbrell is the guy that his value went down tremendously since going to the south side of Chicago. And this is a guy that still, though, we know what Craig Kimbrell's been. And there's going to be some teams interested in him, trying to get him to be the closer of their team. Even with how bad he was on the south side of Chicago in 2021 with the White Sox, he was really good with the Cubs and unhittable. And the reason for that is because he was in the 8th inning role behind Liam Hendricks with the White Sox. And I think that's the main reason why. Overall in 2021, still posted a solid season, 4-5 record with a 2.26 ERA in 63 games, 24 saves, in 59 innings pitched, 100 strikeouts, and a 0.91 WHIP. Overall in his 12 seasons, been very reliable, posting a 2.18 career ERA and in 628 innings pitched and 372 saves. So some potential suitors for Craig Kimbrell. The Blue Jays, of course, are a potential suitor. They are a World Series contender, in my opinion. It's just a matter of getting some bullpen help, and this team is, you get a Craig Kimbrell, and you are looking even better. And maybe even the World Series favorite to come out of the AL, as crazy as that may sound to some people. The Phillies are another potential suitor. There's the past with him and Dave Dombrowski in Philly, but who knows if the Phillies will pull the trigger on that trade. The Padres are another team. They've never been scared to, make a big trade, just go all in. And the Padres have already do that a lot. And, they've been interested in a closer quite a bit before. And they actually kind of fared pretty decent in their bullpen last year. But I still think they could use somebody like a Craig Kimbrell. The Rangers are a team that I actually think is kind of an underrated team to get. They probably have the possible best farm system out of all these teams, and the Rangers could possibly make a trade for him, and he doesn't have a lot of value, of course, just because of how bad he was with the White Sox. Next up is Katel Martea of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Katel Martea is a guy that he really could be one of the best players in baseball, in my opinion. I really think that Katel Martea does have that type of potential. It's just he's got to stay healthy. He's had so many injuries and stuff. If he could stay healthy, this is a guy that we would be looking at as one of the best players in baseball. I look at him as a possible, top 50, probably a top 50 guy that just needs to stay healthy. Kind of like Byron Buxton, who's just not as bad with injuries. For Marte, he is 28 years old right now for a bad Arizona Diamondbacks team. In 2021, with injuries, 14 home runs, 50 RBIs, a 318 batting average, 377 on base percentage, a 532 slugging, and a 909 OPS. Over his career, a 287 career hitter, average-wise. He's been a very good player career-wise. And some teams that could be potential suitors are the Brewers. The Brewers, like I said, they're looking for somebody like Katel Marte still after the Hunter Renfroe trade and stuff. It's just, will they have the assets as far as their farm system and stuff. They do have one of the worst farm systems in baseball. The Yankees, they definitely have the pieces. It's just, are the Diamondbacks willing to give them up and stuff? The Phillies, yeah, the Phillies are another team that could really benefit from a Katel Martea trade. It fits greatly in center field. They needed a center fielder so badly the last couple of years. And the Braves are another team that could look for a Katel Martea trade. Do I actually see that happening? I actually don't think so. But you never know. Next up is Josh Donaldson of the Minnesota Twins. The key thing with Josh Donaldson is he really does have possibly a less value just because of how bad his contract is. 4 years, $80 million, not a very good contract. I mean, it's a solid contract, but it's definitely not one of the best in the league, I'll say that. Donaldson in 2021 posted a very solid season. It's just $20 million is a lot for a guy that's getting up there in age, and it's if with how he's getting up there in age. He's 36 years old right now. But he hasn't really shown many signs of slowing down. Maybe even getting better, honestly. In 2021, posted a 247 batting average, 26 home runs, 72 RBIs, a 352 on base percentage, a 475 slugging, and an 827 OPS. Like I said, he's been really solid, and Josh Donaldson, I mean, he's getting up there in age. Who knows if he'll start to show that next year or not. Some potential suitors are the Brewers. They actually looked at him at the 2021 Major League Baseball trade deadline, looked at potentially doing that trade. The Marlins are another team. The Marlins could use a third baseman right now, and why not Josh Donaldson? Phillies are another team. The Phillies haven't been scared to pay a lot of money for players. It's just a matter of, can the salaries work for that contract? And back to the Blue Jays. That'd be interesting for sure. The Blue Jays could use a third baseman, and it would be quite interesting. And the next guy is a guy that's definitely a defensive first player, and that is Kevin Kiermeier of the Tampa Bay Rays. The Kevin Kiermeier trade talk has been there for a while, and we knew with how the Rays operate that he would probably be getting traded sometime, because Kiermeier is a guy that's making $10 million. And for a regular MLB team that's, not on that Moneyball type thing, then, that's not a lot of money. But for the Tampa Bay Rays, that's a lot of money. He's 31 years old right now, and that $10 million, I just don't see staying. This is a guy that's not going to hit for much power. He'll hit for a decent average, but nothing crazy. In 2021, he posted a 259 batting average, 4 home runs, 37 RBIs, a 328 on base percentage, a 388 slugging, and a 716 OPS. But what Kevin Kiermeier doesn't show up in the stat sheet, being how great he is defensively and stuff. That doesn't show up in the stat sheet. Potential suitors for him, the Phillies, Braves, and Yankees. The Phillies have actually been quite interested. The Phillies are probably the favorite. And the next guy on this list here for this is Jose Ramirez of the Cleveland Guardians. Jose Ramirez is the best third baseman in the league. I don't care what you say. I don't care if you hate the way that the Cleveland Guardians run things or whatever. But Jose Ramirez is one of the most likely to be traded, in my opinion. We know all about them trading players. They've traded Trevor Bauer. They've traded Francisco Lindor. They've traded so many players to not have to pay players. And this is a guy that's 29 years old in his prime. If you want to get the most possible, then I think it's time. In 2021, he posted 36 home runs, 103 RBIs, 27 stolen bases, a 266 batting average, 355 on base percentage, 538 slugging, and an 893 OPS. This is a top 10 player in baseball, in my opinion. And, I mean, teams could get him. And obviously, you're going to have to give up a lot. You're going to have a very good farm system. And that can rule out a lot of teams. That's going to rule out a lot of teams. One potential suitor that I really like is the Seattle Mariners, actually. The Mariners are a team that has a lot of greatness in their farm system and stuff, but I think, why not the Seattle Mariners? They've already made some decent moves getting Adam Frazier and Robbie Ray this offseason, some risky ones, but Jose Ramirez would top off that offseason greatly. And, they have a ton of great players on their team. They could give up maybe Kyle Lewis in that trade. Obviously, you're going to have to give up one of those top 5 prospects with a lot of value. The Marlins are another team. The Marlins as well have a great farm system and have the prospects to give up to make this trade happen. The Diamondbacks are another team if they really want to compete in 2022, which I don't see happening. And the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays still do have some pretty solid prospects in their farm system. As crazy as that does sound to people, they still have guys like Jordan Groshans. They had Orlavius Martinez, Gabriel Morano, and these are guys that actually aren't going to be up for quite a while and may not have a spot on the team, especially Orlavius Martinez just may not have a spot on this team, honestly. And that's some of the guys that the Blue Jays can trade. And they would be, and they've already made some big trades, the Blue Jays have. They've gave up players like Simeon Woods Richardson and Austin Martin in the Jose Barrios trade is one. And yeah. And the last one is Whit Merrifield of the Kansas City Royals. Whit Merrifield is a guy that's, he's getting up there in age. And he hasn't even been in the league for that long to be getting up there in age. For Merrifield, there's, of course, some potential suitors, but I think that they've just kind of waited too long to trade him, to be honest. Merrifield is a guy that, he has a lot of value. But or he used to, really. This is a guy that's getting up there in age and just doesn't have that much value anymore. He's got like $14 million of trade value on baseball trade value. He's 32 years old right now. And in 2021, started to, the average started to decline a little bit. The power is, it's never really been there that much, but, it's starting to, So 2021, 10 home runs, 74 RBIs, a 277 batting average, 317 on base percentage, a 395 slugging, and a 712 OPS. There's quite a few teams that would be interested in Whit Merrifield. The Cubs have been linked to him for a very long time. And I think the Phillies could use somebody like this, honestly. Even the Padres, I think, could benefit from somebody like this. Those are just a few teams there. But yeah, that's going to be the end of this video with the 10 MLB players most likely to be traded after the lockout. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn notifications, because this is the place to be for great baseball content throughout the lockout, throughout the offseason. Thank you for watching, and peace.